This is how to get your SQL Server database instance up on Docker, and I'm using Windows. All right, so this is a general gist of what we're going to do, but without further ado, let's go straight over to the Docker page for SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server. And this is Ubuntu-based images, okay? Now, first thing, I've already done this, but you will need to run this command on your machine to get Docker down to be able to use it with the command line. And it's maybe close to 1 gig, so I'm not going to run it now, I already have, but just run that first, okay? It's there for you, ready to go. Then what we should pay attention to is that they give us the latest featured tags, okay? So you can pull these instances down, right, and to get the latest one. And if we come down, they also give us some examples, so you can copy and paste them. But what I've done is modify these, because you will need to change obviously your password, and you want to change the name to something meaningful for you as well as the host name. And also note that here they've slipped on the end the Ubuntu preview, which was different to the latest at the top. Anyway, I've got this up in a notepad, right? And I've also added in some volume arguments. Now I will give credit where it's due. The Script Bytes channel has got a great video on this, but they use Azure Data Studio, which is being deprecated. Hence, I'm going to do it through Microsoft's proposed solution of Visual Studio Code. Now, don't worry, we'll have a look at that as well. But also, what was recommended here is plus the -v volume flags, so Docker knows where you're keeping. In this case, is data, so it's /data, secrets, and log. Now, I've got this down here. I can give you this as well in the comments and description. And it goes in before this end detached mode flag, okay? So the volume arguments are being inserted in here. And I've got my path set up. Now I've made a directory on my local machine called DockerVolumes to house those. And so I've also changed the password to something meaningful for me. Obviously I will change it. It would be ironic if I didn't. And I changed the names. Just note, if you mess this up, you can always change the port names here if you need to, but you can also delete the container because they are designed for that. They can be, deleted and reused. They are ephemeral in that sense. So let me open a command prompt, and remember, I've already run the first Docker pull. And let's paste that in. And it's a little bit anticlimactic because all you see is the ID of the container that's being created. Now, if I come over to Docker and I got Docker Desktop, if you haven't got it, it's just a straight download and it's free. You don't need an account. You see, I haven't signed in or anything. And then you will see it start running here. You can stop it and delete it if you need to redo this. Again, the beauty of Docker, stop, delete, whatever you've got that script, it'll just spin them up again. So that's been created. So effectively, we've got a Docker container running for our purposes. So then let's come over to Visual Studio Code. Now in Visual Studio Code, first thing you want to do is go to extensions and get the SQL Server extension, official by Microsoft. So you could search MSSQL, it's the first one that comes up. It's all legitimate. Just press install if you haven't got it. When you get it, you will see it down here. This is the icon to look for. And we're going to create a new connection. You can see I've got a lot from testing from previous takes I did before this video. So let's press the plus icon there. And let's give it a name. Now mine is about VerbTables, okay, so I'm just going to give it a name that makes sense for me. By all means change it. Now localhost is the server name, and I would just trust certificate because otherwise you are going to just have to click yes anyway. Now if we come back to our script, just to remind you, right, if you see here SA password, so the username is SA. We've technically set it, but it's quite discrete there, and change this is the password. Now SA is pretty standard, I think. System administrator, any database people out there probably screaming, just tell us if not. And I'll save that, and I won't type database name because I haven't created one yet. So let's connect, and don't know why it always does that, it just opens that, but we are now up connected to our databases in Docker, which is pretty cool. It's already connected. Now it's a bit odd. It shows you these master model, etc., but when we create a new database, then that will change. And let me just show you again in the Docker volumes here, it's populated with all these files. So these are over here. So here I've just got a very simple script I'm going to run. I'm just going to do it one at a time. Create database VerbTables. So if I come on to databases, I think I've got to go, maybe I'll go to master. And again, it's kind of weird using Visual Studio as a sort of database tool. But yeah, I'll paste that in, create database VerbTables. Now, started. Let's see what's happened. Successfully. Okay. Now, if I refresh this, you'll see, bingo, there it is. The database VerbTables is down here, but amazing, we haven't got any tables. So again, new query, just at the table, the database level. Let me create this. So I'll create and run over in the top right. Okay, that has run apparently. Again, I'll refresh at this level and you can see I've got the verb. Now if I do the select, right click, again it's like SQL Server Management Studio. You'll see the preview as you would in any other database tool, but there's nothing in there. So let's go and insert something. Now if I again, there's no doubt better ways of doing this, but I'll just overwrite that because it's auto-generated. And let me give you, because mine is a Welsh language project, I'm just going to put two verbs in. I've got an infinitive column and an ID. ID is auto-incrementing, so I don't need to put it in. And let's see. Okay. That should have run. So if I do select, bingo. Okay, we've got our database. And if I did a where on that, then, and it is kind of weird to see this, again, in Visual Studio, brilliant. You've just got your usual queries always working. So that's pretty cool. Now what we can do next up is if we come over to our container, and this is the beauty of it. If I stop this and then I try to refresh the connection, it probably won't work because it's stopped. So if I disconnect, right, but I'm going to spin that back up because it's Docker. Press play on here and the data should still be there. If all has worked, I was taking my password out. Funny, always does little things like this when you're recording that you don't expect. And there it is. Let's try that. Okay, and we are back in, and you can see if I run this again, the data is still there. So there you go. You've got a SQL database instance up on Docker that you can spin up and down as you need and make use of the containerization. I'm going to be using this for my web app project. I hope you found this useful. Check out more videos I got on the channel. Like and subscribe if it was helpful. And thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you in the next one. Remember, scripts and the like are in the comments and description. And thanks again. See you soon. Bye.